Welcome to Season 7 of the Excel Still More podcast. I am your host, Chris Emerson, and I am here to encourage you in your faith and help you strengthen your relationships. Today's episode is sponsored by Statewide Mortgage. Tyler Kane has over 20 years of experience, and he can help you with a variety of home mortgage needs. You can reach him today at 813-380-8487. Thank you so much for listening in today. Let's get started. Welcome to the Excel Still More podcast. I'm so thankful that you're here. I have some things to share with you I can guarantee will make a difference. There are some things that just work. We forget about them. We forget to do them. But when we put our attention on simple steps, the results come immediately. And today's central point, I guarantee, before this day is over, you can be restarting things and refining things by one simple step. So we'll get into that today, but I first want to give some credit on where this idea originated. I was scrolling through social media like we sometimes do, and I came across a sermon on a Sunday night that was being preached by a young man in Beaumont at the Dowling Road Church. His name is Larry Greenlee. I think maybe Larry and I have met once or twice before, but he married into the Whitfield family, whom I know well and love very much. And he's doing great. That church always does a great job of cultivating young men and helping them build and present lessons, and then the congregation supports them, and he was giving that lesson. And his title, I could see at the top of the feed, was Breaking the Cycle. And as we'll briefly talk about today, they're all different types of cycles, but they represent the same thing. We sometimes just fall back into places where we used to be, places where we don't want to be, and I wish I had a better idea of how that happens. I think, unfortunately, when you take your focus off of a few simple, disciplined things, as we'll see today, you just naturally get pushed back by the winds of life onto cycles that are less productive or wasteful or lack direction. Maybe breaking the cycle could mean breaking out of falling into deep sin and having to find your way back to the cross. But more particularly today, I just want to talk about falling into mundane, directionless days that render us with lots of unfulfilled potential. Now, he was talking about that. Larry was doing a great job. But honestly, it wasn't even the title or the lesson that caught my attention. In fact, the first day I saw it several days ago, I didn't even listen to the lesson. I just saw over his shoulder there were 3 words on the slide. These were Larry's 3 main points: remove, replace, and refine. And as nicely worded and memorable as those 3 things are, I didn't even get past word number 1. In fact, I had to look back today when I went back and listened to the sermon and then text Larry and have kind of dug in a little more deeply. I had to go back just to remember what the second 2 were. I had a good guess on the middle one, couldn't remember the last one. I got stuck on the first one. Again, the 3 words. Do you want to break the cycle? Are you ready to get back moving in the right direction, reach new heights, fulfill your potential? Number 1, remove. Then replace or restore or start. And then, of course, moving forward, you're always refining. You're continuing to give attention, because once you go, okay, I've gotten rid of a few bad habits, I've started a few good things, now I'll just let that run for a while. Then your sense is dull again, and you know what happens. Everything just moves back to the way that it was. So all 3 points are good. But that day, only the first one hit me, and we will use most of the rest of the episode talking about that. It's trickled throughout the last 6, 7, however many seasons that we have done, but in order to get to a better place, it often starts with cutting, spring cleaning, creating space. You and I both know we only have so much ... Put in whatever you want. We only have so much time in a day, in a week, in a year. We only have so much energy, which is different based on our health issues and our age. We only have so much kind of mental capacity to focus on things. The brain can only hit one thing at a time, and you can only bounce between so many things before you're accomplishing nothing. We only have a certain number of opportunities to really change the direction of life. We can't just walk past those and miss them. Eventually, we'll run out. But here is why we usually do miss them. Here is why really great things in our lives either don't get started or fall off the table. We just have too many things taking up all of the list I just made that don't belong. Some, yes, are sinful. I think Larry hit on that really, really well. But some of them are just pointless. They're time fillers. They're dopamine triggers that somehow just make us feel better about the cycle that we're in. We need to make some cuts. I did so that very day. When I saw his slide in the background, I thought, Chris, man, there's so many things you want to do. You talk about it all the time. It's time to start writing volume 3 of the Daily Bible Devotional. And there are some people that I really need to go have coffee with and work through some things, but I'm just so busy, and there's too many things going on. And I started looking at what those things were, and I thought, man, it's time for step 1. Let's remove them. And I'll be a bit more specific when we make a list here in the back half of the episode. So that's my topic with you today. Get ready to make some cuts. This reminds me a little bit of what I used to tell and occasionally still tell preachers. They call me or email me and say, oh, the job is so much. It's too much. I can't get to the things I want to do. I can't start the things that I think are important. And I know I've shared this with you a few times, but I still think it could be useful no matter where you are in life and what you're doing. But I have them sit down with a blank piece of paper and draw 2 horizontal lines so you have 3 equal sections on the page. And at the top I say, I want you to write down the most important things you do as a preacher, the things that are crucial, that your heart is driven to, the things that matter most. Then in the middle section, I say, write down all the other important things. They're not top shelf, but they're clearly pretty vital to what you're doing here in preaching, or at least what is generally expected. And then the bottom, write all the rest. Things that you are sure are not of utmost importance to you or to God. Maybe they're just something that came as a package deal with coming, or things that you've always been told you need to do, but they don't matter much to you. Then the rules are very simple. That bottom third, tear it off, throw it in the garbage. You're done with that. You're not doing those things anymore. They just disappeared, just like that. You just cut 1/3 of all the stuff out. Then, in the middle category, put an X through half of them. Half of those important things are going to be put away, at least for a while, and now you have just the most important things at the top and half of the middle category, and you're ready for a much better week. Your week is less congested. You're not trying to juggle so many things. You've chosen the things that matter most. But the first step was removal. That was the beginning of the exercise. Now we can go in and we can maximize our production in the areas that we would have easily told you were most crucial, and you can start some things. You can restore some things, replace some things with projects that have been in your heart and just haven't found a space to flourish. So that is the process. I'm going to give you a handful of categories where you can make those cuts. Where do we make our removals? But before we do that, one more thing, maybe for you, and this is perfectly fine, you can start with the second category, replace. If you want a smile on your face or an optimistic view of why you're going through the pain of this, because cutting things out is not always easy, then go ahead and focus on a better vision of who you want to be. Who you want to be at home, who you want to be at work, who you want to be among God's people. Kind of ask yourself, if I had all the time in the world, if I was not distracted by any of the mess, in other words, all the removals are completed, what would I replace it with? Would I spend more time with my kids? Would I get into daily Bible reading? Would I start building out that class to teach at church? Would I finally take that guy to lunch that I need to work through a few things with? Go ahead and picture a replaced setting. Here's another thing I know I've said 50 times. Everybody wants to get better. Very few people can visualize what better looks like. So if you'd like to do that, do that. I think probably when I saw the word remove the other day on that slide and immediately started making changes, I had replace already in my heart. I knew there were some things I wanted to do more with my family, with some estranged friends, with the writing of the book. I already knew what better looked like. I just didn't acknowledge the obvious way to get there, which of course is creating the space. Okay, you ready to break the cycle? Then let's get out the scissors. Here's where we're starting. Category number 1, technology and entertainment. So that's where I started, and I mean day 1, 2 things right off the bat. First of all, if you heard the episode several weeks ago, I got rid of Farm RPG, that game on my phone that was helping me stay off of social media became its own kind of monster. And so as soon as I came up for air and thought, maybe I don't love this anymore, I deleted it. And that opened up a lot of just thinking time. That's the thing about that quick 30 seconds on your phone all the time. When you're not doing that, you're thinking. And thinking and planning is a great step towards production. And then there was an old TV series that I was watching, and every night I'd catch an episode while everybody else was doing their thing. And honestly, some of the content on that I wasn't really proud of. And so my conscience was already going, Chris, like, remove this. This isn't helping you in any possible way. But you know how it is when I just couldn't give up on where the thing was going. So by the way, pro tip on that, I just got online, found some website that detailed all the plot for all the episodes, took 1 hour and read all the last 4 seasons. So I knew the story and never went back. No temptation even to go back. Just the creation of those two things with technology got me thinking in little gaps more productively. And that night, I started writing volume 3 of the Daily Bible Devotional, wrote in 2 nights the book of Colossians, which was 4 chapters. And that's why we're spending so much time on remove and a little bit of time on replace and refine, because you're probably like me. You already know what you wish you had more attention and time and energy to do, or hopefully you do. You just need the space to do it. Okay, number 2 on this list, where else can we remove things that don't belong? Let's look on the inside for a minute. How about mental clutter? Are there things that are just playing through your mind far too often? They're almost like default things where as soon as you're not thinking of anything else, you're thinking of it. Maybe it's something that's inappropriate. Maybe it's something that just discourages you. Or maybe it's something that just sends you back into cycles of nothingness. And all these wonderful things you could be doing, like praying or figuring out how to connect with someone or being creative, it just goes by the wayside for the sake of this thing. Spend some time deciding, what are some things I'm thinking too much about? Now, that is a very difficult skill to learn, to trim your mental energy, because they become these comfort zones, comfort/lazy zones. But at least be mindful. Like, man, I just keep thinking about this boat or something all the time. Like, I think about it all day long. And then when I get to a computer, what am I Googling? I need to think less about that. Now, you might be like, well, what am I going to think about? Well, give yourself a break. You'll probably come up with some other things. But you can always fill it in with thinking about the Lord, praying to the Lord, doing some Bible reading, contemplating what you read that morning. I mean, it doesn't do us a lot of good to read scripture in the morning if I'm not going to think about it for the rest of the day, because my mind is enamored with a whole bunch of things that I would readily admit don't matter. Okay, how about number 3? Let's get more external and practical, and I'll have these all listed for you later. But what about toxic relationships? I'm not a big fan of that word toxic. It's kind of like saying love your enemies. I don't know that I have any enemies or relationships that are toxic, but I do know there are people in and around my life that I try to put energy and attention into to improve those relationships. And one of 2 things always happens. One, it just always ends up discouraging. It's like they're telling you, Chris, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be friends with you. And I'm going, no, that's toxic. We've got to be friends. And you come out discouraged that some people just aren't ready. Or I read an article recently by my friend Wilson Adams. I think it was titled like, You're Not Chocolate or something. And it was this whole idea that like everybody likes chocolate. That I guess isn't literally true, but almost everyone likes chocolate. Well, not everyone's going to like you and feel about you the way that you wish that they did. And while you always want to kind of passively try to work on that, you can use a lot of your attention trying to fix something that the other person doesn't want fixed. So one outcome is you just always end up discouraged. Secondly, and this has been the case with me, I just end up getting sarcastic or losing my patience or making things worse. So it's triggering bad behavior by me, which shows this is not where I need to be putting my attention. Now listen, I'm not telling you to give up on these people. This is like inner circle and outer circle stuff we did years ago. The outer circle is not the outer darkness, but it's people you need a break from. I think about this at church. It's funny, probably a bad example, but I've been preaching full-time over half my life, and I'm pretty sure every church building I've ever walked into, I've been friends with almost everyone, and it's all been great. There's always been like 1 or 2 people who just don't like me. They don't like my personality, or I guess maybe my face or something. And maybe it's even more than one or two. But I'm always like, that's the one I need to fix. That's where I need to give the attention. And I've spent a lot of time walking around people who truly need attention, not walking over to people who like me to make me feel better about myself, but places where I can pour energy to bring out the best in me and to lift them up. And I walk right past them to go beat my head up against the wall again of trying to repair something. We don't want to give up on those people, but if we could remove some of that mental attention and actual attention and just free up that space to go to people who clearly are seeking and asking and needing or desiring to share in healthy and spiritual ways, we can remove some efforts made in relationships and replace them with areas where God is ready to use us right now. And of course, by the way, this applies to spending time with people that just aren't good for you. Less of that for a while so that you can build out better things. Number 4, excessive commitments. Are there things in your life you are overcommitted to? You know you're overcommitted when it's taking up large chunks of your life that you can easily say would be better placed in other directions, with your family, in your faith, service to God, whatever it might be. And yet you're just somebody who says yes. And that's me. I say yes to everything. I feel like there's a place for it until my wife sits me down and she's like, you're overcommitted and it's hurting us. Sometimes it takes conversations like that for me to see that I can't make that better without removing the excessive commitment. Saying no, saying I can't, saying there's been a change in plans and it needs to not happen are really hard for me. Maybe they're easier for you. I super struggle with that. But when I finally really grabbed onto this idea, and I had a lot of help, that breaking the cycle of overcommitting to less important things, that such things require removal first, before replacement, and before you can refine and improve. It's helped me understand the why of backing up from those commitments. And when it comes to letting people down, which is one of those things that just destroys me on the inside, I need a really important reason to do that and one I can communicate with them. So we're 4 into this thing. Number 1, technology and entertainment. Number 2, just mental clutter and overthinking. Number 3, toxic relationships that aren't healthy for you in this moment. And number 4, just excessive commitments. Number 5, financial waste. I think materialism is tugging at us and we get into this cycle of earning, spending, saving, having, upkeep, and our lives just become completely filled with physical focus and the financial burden of that physical focus, unnecessary subscriptions, impulse spending, luxury that's not truly intentional and sometimes distracts from who Jesus wants us to be. I have to say, I have a lot of conversations with men my age and younger, and there's a lot of stress out there right now. A tremendous amount of pressure on men, a whole variety of reasons. It would need its own episode to explore. But at the center of that is work and production and keeping everything up and keeping this standard of living that's regional, but generally in our country is very, very high. And I was telling a guy the other day, I think you need to slash your budget. Just remove. Do the paper thing, top, middle, bottom. Throw away everything at the bottom, cut all the stuff in the middle in half, focus on what's left, and just lighten up that burden and feel yourself less obligated to juggle so many things. Cutting spending in our lives today feels like we just won the Olympics or something. It's really a major thing because there's so much resistance to it. It can give you a nice boost. All right, last thing, I'll just give you 6 of them today, and that is removing unhealthy habits. Now, we could do 10 minutes on sinful things, on things that clearly violate God's will, and they certainly need to go. Start there. But there are habits that are just not good for you. You need to label those habits in your life. Before you're willing to cut them, you need to know why they're being pulled out of place. Yes, you want to replace them with better things, but that's not a good enough reason. In and of themselves, they need to demonstrate to you that they are not helping you meet your goals. This can be poor sleep habits, staying up half the night, doing something that doesn't matter. It could mean poor eating and dieting. Please take control of what you place inside your body. Get your vessel to the best of your ability to a place where it can accomplish better things. Sometimes I think we focus on, boy, if I was going to be healthier, I'd need to be doing 5 things. I'm going to tell you right now, start with stopping a few things that are clearly not helping, sitting on the couch and all those kinds of things all evening long. But it's not just physical. There's any number of categories, and I'm going to leave the rest of that up to you. But if you want to start good routines, you've got to get the weeds out of the garden first so that all the nutrients can go to the new seeds and the better things, and you can see that growth. Start with removal in any of the 6 categories, which again, I'll put in the show notes, or any other area in your life. If you need to, you can start with the positive things that you wish you had the time and energy to do, but they're not going to start on their own. Remove, and then naturally in that space with intentionality, replace, and then keep whittling on that and working on it. Don't take your hands off the project. Keep refining even those new habits along the way. Stay activated. From turning away from sin to being your most productive self in your home and among God's people and in the world, these simple tips, remove, replace, refine, can help you break the cycle. Thank you for joining in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment and share it with a friend. Speaking of friends, I just want to thank once again John Cunningham and the Cunningham Financial Group for sponsoring this podcast. If you have financial planning needs, give him a call today, 205-326-7364. And always remember, whatever you do in the name of Jesus Christ, excel still more.